Okay, I'm going to be doing the review for the upcoming test. The first one, it says, graph the image of the figure using the transformation given. So that -2 and the -4, that means we're going to go 2 units to the left and 4 units down for each point. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is U prime. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is V prime. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is W prime. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is T prime. So you connect the points. And there's your image translated 2 units to the left and 4 units down. Number 2, it says 1 unit to the right and 1 unit down. So we're going to go 1 unit to the right and 1 unit down, so that's H prime. 1 unit to the right, 1 unit down, that's going to be I prime. 1 unit to the right, 1 unit down, that's J prime. 1 unit to the right, 1 unit down, that's going to be G prime. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the points. And there's my transformation, there's that translation. Number 3, it says 3 units to the right, 1 unit up, so we have U, 1, 2, 3, 1, that's U prime. V, 1, 2, 3, 1 unit up, that's V prime. 1, 2, 3, up 1 unit, that's going to be T prime. And there's the figure. So I'm going to let you do 4 and 5 on your own as practice. Here, we're coming up with the rule. So, for example, how did you get from K to K prime? Remember, this is the pre-image, and this is the image. So you notice it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, so it's 3 units down. You also see it as x plus 6, y minus 3. So I'm going to let you do 7 on your own. It says find the coordinates of the vertices of each figure after the given transformation. For example, if we have 0, 4, that just means that the figure is going to go 4 units up. So Q goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's Q prime. R goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's R prime. P goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's P prime. And you want the order pairs, so Q prime is 1, 2, negative 2, 4. P prime, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, negative 3, 2. And R prime is going to be 1, 1. So go ahead and do 8 and 9 on your own. Now, this next part of the review, we're going to be reviewing rotation. So remember that you're allowed to use your foldable. and I'm going to do that too. Okay, we're going to do a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation, and so the rule is negative yx. So we have v is negative 2, 1. So v prime is going to be 1, negative 1, negative 2. W is 0, 1. So W prime, you got to switch, negative 1, 0. U is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 3, 1, 2, negative 3. So U prime will be 3, negative 3. And then X is negative 2, 1, negative 2, negative 3. So X prime is negative 3. Well, in this case, it's positive. Positive 3, negative 2. So the only ones we're interested in are the ones that are X prime. Those are the ones that we're going to have to graph. And remember, we're doing 90-degree counterclockwise. So negative 1, negative 2. So that's V prime. W prime is negative 1. And let me erase this here. So V prime is negative 1, negative 2, so it's right here, that's V prime. W prime is negative 1, 0, so that's W prime. U prime is 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so that's U prime, and 3, negative 2, that's X prime. And there's our rotation. Number 12, we're going to do a rotation clockwise about the origin. Clockwise. Let's go ahead and do the 90-degree counterclockwise about the origin here. So we have X and Y. So it's going to be negative Y X. So you have I prime. Let's go back to I. I is 1, 0, so I prime is 0, 1. So that's I prime. J is 1, negative 1. So J prime, we have to switch it, so it's going to be 1, 1. That's J prime. H is going to be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So H is negative 3, negative 3. So H prime, we got to switch, which it stays the same. So it's 3, negative 3. So we have, this is H prime. And then we need G. G is negative 1, negative 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 2. So G prime, we got to switch. So it's 5, negative 2. So it's negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. That's G prime. So those are mine. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what I just finished doing here. Write a rule to describe the transformation. So what you're going to do first is you're going to write the order pair for x, which is 3, 4. And then you're going to compare it to x prime. Remember that this is called a preimage, and this is called your image. And so we're comparing both to see what is the pattern. We have 3, 4, and we have 4, negative 3. So you notice that the x and the y did switch, and the x value became negative, or the opposite in value. So this would be a 270-degree counterclockwise rotation. Remember to look at your chart, and if you look at your chart, you can see the pattern. For number 16, we're going to do the same thing, and I did the same thing. I figured out what's Q. I also figured out what's Q prime. Q prime was negative 1, 4. So you notice you have 1, negative 4, and you have negative 1, 4. So they switched. You see that? And they also became negative in value, or opposite in value. So that rotation is 180 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise. So now we're going to go ahead and do number 17. I'm going to do it with you. So like I said, you want to look at Q. And remember that Q is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, negative 1. And you're going to compare it to Q prime, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, 1. And then you ask yourself, what happened to the x and the y value? Actually, the x and the y value stayed the same. The only difference is it changed in value. So this will be 180-degree counter clockwise rotation or clockwise rotation. We're going to look at 18, and we're going to go ahead and see. We have C, which is going to be 0, 1. And we know that C prime actually is 0, negative 1. And C prime is 1, 0. Now here, this was x, comma, y. And we notice that it did change. Actually opposite in value, opposite in y value, negative y, comma, x. So this can be a counterclockwise. This can be counterclockwise. If so, that's a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation. Or clockwise rotation of a 270 degrees. It all depends on what the word problem is saying. It could be asking what's the possibility. In this case, there's two possibilities. It could be a counterclockwise 90-degree rotation or clockwise rotation. So what you have to do again, you have to compare the order pairs and see what pattern you have. And then you can look at, when you look at your table, you can see the pattern that is emerging. I'm going to let you do 19 and 20 for practice. 21, I'm going to go ahead and do that with you. 21, it says graph the image of the figure using the transformation given. So the reflection across the y equals 3. Remember that y equals 3 is a horizontal. It's a horizontal line. And so you have y equals 3, there's the mirror. So this is actually u prime, this is x prime, and here will be w prime, and here will be v prime, since it's 1 unit away, and this has to be 1 unit away also. And so here is the reflection. You notice that x and u are not reflected because they're actually on the mirror. This is your pre-image, and this is your image. This one is going to take a little bit of, not time, but it's going to take a little bit of understanding. Remember that our reflection is across x equal 2, and so this is your mirror, and you notice that B prime is the same place where B is. C is 2 units away, actually to the right of the mirror, so I'm going to go left 2 units, so that's C prime. A is 1, 2, 3 units left of the mirror, so I have to go to the right, 1, 2, 3. So there's A prime. Connect the points, and there's your reflection. So 23, we're going to go ahead and graph the reflection over the y-axis. So once again, here is the mirror. We know that D is 1 unit away, so D prime is right here. We know C is 2 units away left, so it's going to go right. C prime. A, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so this is A. And B, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so this is B. So there's our reflection. This is our pre-image, and this is our image. (25) It says reflection across the y equals x. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Y equals x. I'm sorry, we're going to erase the scribbling there. So we have y equals x is our mirror. And from your algebra days, this is y equals x. Okay, so you have x comma y. When it's reflected over y equals x, this is the rule, y comma x. So for example, t is negative 1, 2. So t prime will be 2, negative 1. 2, negative 1, so that's t prime. U is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5, negative 1. So u prime will be negative 1, negative 5. So negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's u prime. V is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, 1, 2, 3. Negative 5, negative 3. So V prime is negative 3, negative 5. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be V prime. S, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Negative 2, so S prime will be negative 2, negative 3. That's S prime. Connect the points. And there's our reflection over y equals x. So now we have y equals negative x, and you can find these rules on the handout that I've provided you. So you have the rule is x comma y will be, once again, it's going to be yx, but you're going to have to change the value. So if we get x here, x is going to be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 3, negative 2. So x prime is going to be 2, 3. 2, 3. So that's going to be x prime. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the mirror. This is y equals negative x. Make sure you draw it. Here's a mirror. Okay, so that was x prime. W is negative 1, negative 5. So W prime will be, you got to switch it. So it's going to be 5, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And that's W prime. Z (3, negative 1), so it's going to be Z prime is going to be 1, negative 3. 1, 1, 2, 3, negative 3. That's Z prime. So we need Y. Y is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So Y prime is going to be negative 3, 0. So I'm going to connect the points. And so that image is reflected over, that's reflected over y equals negative x. So there's some more examples there that you can do on your own. We're dealing with a transformation rule in which we want to figure out so like I was saying earlier, you have negative 2, 1 as one of your points, and then you have negative 3, 1.5. And you ask yourself, what do you multiply negative 2 to get negative 3? Which in this case it's 1.5. What do you multiply 1 to get 1.5? Well, that's 1.5. I want you to try to do 33 on your own. So 36, or let's say 30. So R prime is going to be 2 times 2, which is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. S prime will be 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And then Q prime is negative 2, and then 0. 2 times negative 2 is 2. Negative 2. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and 2 times 0 is 0. So R prime is 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. That's R prime. S prime is 2, negative 2, so that's S prime. And then Q prime is negative 2, 0, connect the points. And there is the enlargement about the origin. So what you have to do is you got to multiply each of the coordinates by 1.5. So for example, 36, I'll kind of set it up for you, V. So we're going to do number 36. We know that V prime is going to be enlarged by a factor 1.5. So this is 1.5 times 1 is 1.5, and then 2 times 1.5 is 3. W prime is 1.5 comma negative 1 times 1.5 is negative 1.5, and U prime is negative 1.5 comma 0, and there's a graph. We have a dilation of 2.5 about the origin. So C is negative 1 comma 1. So 2.5 at C prime is going to be negative 2.5 comma 2.5. B is 0 comma 1. So B prime is going to be 0 comma 2.5. A is 2 comma 0. So A prime, how am I getting the order pairs? It's going to be 2.5 times 2, which is 5, and then 2.5 times 0 is 0. And then D is 0, negative 1. So D prime is going to be 0 comma negative 2.5.